We got lots more cooking. Happy to bring to the show, I guess for the first time. I don't know why I feel like he's been on with us before. Maybe not. Is New York Giants general manager Joe Schoen. Joe, Craig Hart, and Evan Roberts here on the Fan in New York City. How you doing today, pal?
I'm great. Craig, Evan, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Lots to go over. Before we get into specifics, an overview kind of general question for you. In the few months that you've been on the job, can you give Giant fans an idea? Is it more than you thought, less than you thought, exactly what you thought? You know, walking into the Meadowlands and the Giants in New York City and all the things that come of being the Giants general manager.
Yeah, I think the job part is what I thought it would be. I'm very fortunate to work with Brandon Beane in Buffalo, and he put me in his hip pocket. Now, everything that comes with the job, it's definitely different than Buffalo when you talk about New York City and all those other, exterior factors outside the building. That's I'm not sure I was totally prepared for what comes with New York City, that's for sure.
And by that, do you mean the 24/7 chatter about how critical we are of every move you guys make and every decision you make, that kind of thing?
Yes. I interviewed somebody and they didn't get the job. Became a story. I'm like, geez, like that's a I can't even believe people care about that. But yes, it's just the stuff that's reported. It's amazing. It's amazing how tied in people are and what's reported. Throughout the entire year. I mean, whether it's free agency, draft, leading up to it. So, but I've enjoyed every minute of it.
It's because we care. As New Yorkers,
I know. I love
we
it.
are so crazy. So when the Jets go sauce, was it immediate? Did you and Brian Daboll look at each other in the rest of your room and say, we got our guy, and run to inform Kayvon that you were taking him at 5?
Yeah. We didn't show our hand in the room. We acted like we were very calm, but inside we were very excited. But we, if you heard after we drafted him, we kind of went through, we had 6 names that we liked, and we went through the scenario where Kayvon and 2 tackles were there. And, I was ecstatic. Again, you can't have enough pass rushers. And then, right tackle was a need. We felt that was a need for us. And there were 2 tackles there that, we thought were both good players and good people. And, we were ecstatic to get Evan Neal then.
And obviously, Evan Neal's going to be your right tackle, but he was so versatile in college. Where did you think he lined up best in your mind?
Any of the 3 spots. If you needed a left tackle right now, Evan Neal could play left tackle. I think right tackle is a perfect fit from him, looking at the stuff from, 2 years ago when he played there, and then, even his freshman stuff at guard. I mean, you're talking about guy started 40 games in the SEC, Power 5 conference, and played at a high level at all 3 spots, and he's only 21 years old. So to plug him in at right tackle, I think that's going to be a really good fit for him.
The other thing I was curious about is obviously Daniel Jones is your quarterback. You add Tyrod Taylor. You feel pretty good about your quarterback room. But as the quarterbacks are dropping in this draft, was there a thought of, wow, look at the value on bringing in Malik Willis or someone else who's falling in this draft? Was that a thought as the board was falling the way it was falling?
Yeah, I think where we are from a roster standpoint, we looked across the entire board, left to right at every position we talked about, and we sent coaches to all the quarterback pro days. I think it's always important to do work on those guys, and we did Zooms with those guys, so we were prepared. If the value matched up with where we had somebody that, we would consider taking a quarterback. So, again, as with any position across the board, we felt like we did work on all positions. And, I was a little surprised that some of those guys lasted as long as they did, just all the pre-draft hype on some of those guys. I felt bad a little bit for some of those guys because they were hyped in the first round, and then they ended up going later than, as expected.
Talking to Joe Schoen, New York Giants general manager. Listen, the most often debated topic is, of course, about your quarterback. And you guys made the announcement and decision that you're not picking up the 5th-year option, which most people just assumed was going to be the case. But I wonder, John Mara's come out publicly every chance he's had to take some ownership in the organization's kind of ruining of Daniel Jones' NFL experience, that they failed him at every which way and turn over his career prior to your arrival and Brian's arrival. So I'm wondering, did you guys have to convince ownership not to pick up the option, or were they in lockstep with you when you went in to let them know where you are with that?
Yeah, everybody was in lockstep with the decision. We discussed it But again, Daniel was the focus of the offseason. It was like, hey, how can we give this kid the best chance? And, John has been vocal about, Daniel's, been through a couple of head coaches, several offensive coordinators. There's been injuries in the offensive line and everything else. So, it was a conscious effort on our part to build the offensive line, not just starters, but, create depth. So when, roster attrition does set in, that, the next man up philosophy can take place and we can still be competitive. So, that along with Wandale Robinson, Kadarius Toney, he was injured last year quite a bit. Hopefully, he's able to stay healthy and on the field. And, Shep's coming off Achilles. We're hoping to get him back. Galladay year 2, then you got Slayton and Saquon. So, if Daniel can stay on his feet, I think there's enough weapons on the team right now that we can be a competitive team and, win games and get our best version of Daniel Jones. And that's what we're hoping for.
The decision on not picking up his option came out like a couple of days before the deadline. Was this a back and forth decision, or is this something you guys kind of were pretty confident on making early on?
No, we had till May 2nd. So we said, $22 million, that's a serious investment in anything. And you want to get around him as much as you can. And, we had watched the film and we wanted to get around the kid. And, we love Daniel Jones. And that's not an indictment on how we feel about him or we feel any different. Like, he's in here all the time. He's working hard. We think he's a win-with player. So we want a chance to work with him and go through a season. And listen, we've only been here for 3 months and around him for 4 or 5 weeks. So, again, we're looking forward to working with him. And, again, it's, hey, if he goes out and balls out, we still have the franchise tag,
right,
that we can put on him, or you enter contract negotiations and an extension. So those are the options moving forward.
You mentioned earlier Kadarius Toney. The timing of this was amazing. There was a report that came out. You guys may look to trade him, and then like a day and a half later, he shows up to voluntary workouts. Do you think that rumor, whether it's true or not? I mean, who the heck knows? Well, you would know. Do you think that kind of inspired him to show up?
I'm not sure. Like we've had great communication with Kadarius, and these workouts are voluntary. And I try to tell people, life happens. Things come up in your life, and again, they're voluntary. So, people got to take care of their own stuff in their life, or deaths in the family, or we've had guys that haven't been here because they had a child born or a death in the family. So. He communicated the whole time. We knew he was going to be here that Monday, and, I don't think those two things are related by any means.
Did the NFL reach out to you guys and ask if you were cool with playing a game in London, or do they just tell you you're playing a game in London?
I'm not really sure how that works. That's probably above my pay grade, but I did have a good idea around the owners' meetings that there was a good chance that we could be playing over in London against the Packers. So, I didn't know that it was a definite, but I was asked if that's something we'd be interested in. And again, I love going to Green Bay because of the history of the stadium.
Sure.
But playing there is really hard. So
yeah.
To play Green Bay in a neutral site, and hopefully the Giants fans show up in London may help us a little bit.
You got a better chance to win the game. So from your standpoint, you should love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I haven't had a lot of success up in Lambeau. Again, I love going there and the bus ride to the game and the leaves and the small town and the history of the stadium. But that place is hard to play in, especially if it's late in the year.
No doubt. We're talking to Joe Schoen, GM of the Giants. What's the status right now of James Bradberry? Is he going to be on this team to start the year?
Yeah, we're working through that right now. I've been, his agents have been great. We've been in constant communication. I've talked to James. It's been very professional throughout the whole process. And, we should have some resolution hopefully by the end of the week. And it's unfortunate because he's a great kid. I know a lot about him when I was in Buffalo, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott were in Carolina when they drafted him, and have always spoken very highly of the kid. And, listen, he's a starting corner in the league. It's just, where we are financially, we still got to sign our draft picks. We've got to, be able to sign our practice squad and then have replacement costs during the season. So,
are you surprised there wasn't that robust a trade market for him? I mean, he didn't have a great year last year, but he's still, like you said, he's still a starting cornerback in this league, could be a Pro Bowler. Like, are you surprised there hasn't been a great market?
Yeah, I was. I thought there would be more interest. There were some teams that showed interest pre-draft, and we had a couple different times there were compensation in place, and just the contract never worked out. So being the fact that we did have good talks with other teams and their agents, had good talks with teams, just sometimes if you're going to renegotiate a contract and, you couldn't come to an agreement, it is what it is. So, again, great kid. His agents have been great. We've had good conversations, and at some point, we'll have a resolution by the end of the week, hopefully.
Is there any shot if a unnamed veteran quarterback got released from his AFC team that you guys might take a flyer on him as competition with Tyrod and Danny this summer, or is that off the table?
Unnamed veteran.
Well, I know you can't tamper.
Oh, he's asking about Baker Mayfield. Listen, Joe, let me give you a little tip on Craig Carton.
I want Baker Mayfield here in the worst way.
He has a poster of Baker Mayfield in his home, and he has been telling me and Giant fans, you got to have Baker. You got to have Baker.
Him.
So can you just tell him Baker Mayfield stinks and you have no interest? Thank you.
Yeah, he's on another team, so
he can't tamper. I get it. Thus the AFC quarterback question.
Yeah. No, when you said veteran, I'm like, well, he's played in the league for 4 years, but I can't talk about players on other teams.
No, I got you.
By the way, the grievance with Logan Ryan, I'm sure you can't comment on it. I don't even care about the grievance. Here's what I'm curious about. Does something like that concern you, that guys in the locker room who love Logan Ryan, everything I heard is like he was one of the most popular guys in the locker room, that a grievance could cause them to be annoyed about it, that you guys are trying to get back a certain amount of money, or he's trying to get back a certain amount of money he feels owed? Any concern about the fallout of something like that?
No, like if again, back in the New York, like 31 other teams probably wouldn't have reported that. That would have never made it to the papers because it happens all the time. There's grievances all the time, and the locker room typically doesn't know something like that's going on. Again, a grievance is a disagreement. It's really not a big deal. When
one of the insiders, whether it's Rapp or Schefter, those guys, put something out and it didn't come from you, do you, like, in this new position as general manager of the New York Giants, does that tick you off? Like, do you go scouring the hallways to say, hey, listen, there's only 8 of us in that room. Who's feeding information to reporters? Or do you gotta let that just go by the side as part of doing business?
I can't remember a time where those guys have done that.
Well, they do it every day.
Well, not usually from the national media guys from here. I haven't. I'm trying to think if there's a specific where it came from our building. Now, local, yeah, probably more local than national.
Got it. Okay, so
where I say, wait a minute, what's going on here?
When something like you guys are shopping Kadarius Toney is out there, where do you think that comes from?
Just like Slayton, like some of that stuff, it's no different than the Giants are interested in player X.
Right.
Like some of it, I'm just like, where does this come from? Like it's not even true. Like I don't know where it comes from.
Right.
Giants are showing really interest in this player from Florida. I'm like, what are they talking? It's not a big deal. But when they name a player on your team, what happens there and what's the problem with that is like, when nobody reaches out to us and say, hey, I'm going to go with this. Is this true or whatever? It creates problems in our building. Because now the agents call me. I got to bring the player up. I'm like, this isn't true. This isn't happening. We're going to work with you. We're going to keep you here. So that's just part of the job. It's more trouble for me probably than it is anything because I got to it's out there.
I can see that though. Right. If there's a report out there, even if it's bogus, which most of them are, because it's guys throwing crap against the wall. It puts you in an awkward position. You got to talk to the player, the agent. Right. Yeah.
Right.
That would bother me. I'd want to know who the rat is immediately.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, and I think, you got to trust the people in the building. If you can't, then you got the wrong people in the building.
Let's just go over a couple injuries real quick. We've already talked about Daniel Jones, but there was some cloak and dagger last year with exactly what the injury was and how bad it was and what his prognosis to come back. I know I've seen the video like everyone else has seen of him in shorts and a T-shirt throwing a ball. He looks good with my eyeballs. Is he completely back from the injury?
Yeah, he's good. He's 100% right now.
Got it. Saquon, 100% healthy right now?
Yep, looks really good.
Is everybody healthy? Like, do you look at this roster and say, I've got no injury concerns going into camp in a few months?
We should be, there's still some we're working through. Nick Gates, trying to get him back to health. And there's a couple other ones. But by the time we get to August, the Blake Martinez of the world, Shep, some of those guys, Parrott will, probably be a little bit, later in the season in terms of him coming back from a late season ACL. But yeah, I would expect majority of the guys by the time we get to camp to be healthy.
I know there may be some changes post June 1st cuts, training camp cuts, but right now when you look at this roster you've assembled, what are your expectations? Like, do you think this is a team ready to compete for a playoff spot? Like, as you look at your first year as general manager, your first roster you helped put together, what's your bar for this team?
Yeah, I don't want to make predictions, but I just progress. I think John said that in my introductory press conference, and I echoed that. See progress that we're a competitive team. We're not beating ourselves. We're not turning the ball over. And again, I think with the offensive line, the additions we made there, if Daniel being healthy and being able to stay on his feet, and Saquon another year off the knee, Kadarius Toney if he can stay healthy, and Wan'Dale Robinson, and I just think we got enough weapons that we can be a competitive team. And again, I'm not going to make predictions, wins or losses. And I mean, look at defensively with Kayvon Thibodeau, Aziz, Leonard, Dex up front. I mean, that's a good group. Blake Martinez comes back, so X in the secondary. We got some young players that I'm excited about, and again, I think we'll be a competitive team. Again, I'm not going to make a prediction, but I want to be a competitive team. I want to be in games. And I just want to see progress, compared to where we were a year ago.
So I'm just so curious. On draft day, there were 500 different trades. You guys made a trade with the Jets, which was kind of cool. How quickly does that develop? Does Douglas just call you up and say, all right, we want this pick, you do this pick? Are you consummating trades in 35 seconds? How the heck does that work on draft night?
Yeah, you actually do, or leading up to it. But yeah, and again, the cool part is being in the league for 21 years. Joe Douglas and I were road scouts together, so probably sat together at some point at Abilene Christian or something. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Some of these GMs now. You've known them for a long time, so to pick up the phone if it's somebody you know and trust, you don't get into haggling or trying to win or screw another general manager or something like that. Pretty open communication. And sometimes leading up to the day, we had an early pick in round 2, obviously 2 picks early in round 1, and then in round 4, we had the 7th pick. So when you have high picks like that in a round and people are sitting around all day looking at the board saying, hey, these are players I like, we took a lot of calls before round 2 and before round 4 about potentially trading back. So we knew we had options all 3 days, including the 7th pick, to move back if we wanted to. We just had to see if it made sense.
1 or 2 more minutes here with Joe Schoen, GM of the New York Giants. Just to wrap up, the Daniel Jones stuff, it just dawned on me. Is that an open competition? Can Tyrod win the job this summer, or is Daniel Jones the starting quarterback of the New York Giants?
Yeah, Daniel Jones is a starter for us. Daniel's a starter. Tyrod knows it. We were very clear with Tyrod and his representatives when he came in.
Yeah, to me, I'd love to see that being a little more open, right?
Excuse me?
I'd like to see like Daniel Jones should earn the job.
He's not signing Baker Mayfield, Craig.
I asked about Tyrod Taylor. I didn't ask about Baker Mayfield.
That's what you meant.
I think there's some guys, and I'm not saying Daniel's this guy because by all accounts,
we're better with competition. I agree with you.
I want a guy to go in there and be told from day one, yeah, you got to earn it. You got to outplay this guy next to you. I think that's only a benefit.
And also, and I'll turn this into a question, and I'm trying to be not disrespectful to Daniel Jones when I say this. What has he done in his career to be handed that job?
That was for you, Joe.
Yeah, that was for you.
Oh, that's for me?
Yeah.
I was just listening to you. I thought I was in my car driving down the road listening to talk radio. I just kind of dozed off there. Listen, Daniel's done everything he can possibly do here. He's in early, he stays late, and we upgraded the weapons around him, and we're going to see what he can do this year.
And have you decided, and your family decided? Are you Knick and Ranger fans? Are you Brooklyn Net Islander fans? Where is the Shane allegiance going to be now that you guys are officially New Yorkers?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually talked last night at dinner. We're gonna figure that out this weekend. We haven't done it yet.
I'm going to make a recommendation to you.
Wow.
My recommendation is you should be seen courtside at a Knick game at some point next season.
You never have to worry about the playoffs, Joe. It's great when you're a Knick fan.
You should go to tomorrow night's Ranger game.
I might be there.
That's the way to go.
Just remember. No, I got nothing, actually.
I might be there with a bald-headed guy that's about 5'9".
Gable.
There you go.
Nobody will recognize him.
Right.
As long as it's not me, we're all good. We're all good. Listen, congrats again. Appreciate the time. Look forward to meeting you. I know we're going to be out there this summer doing a show from camp.
Awesome.
And appreciate your time today. And obviously, good luck. You know, we all, even though I'm a Jet fan, we all want the teams here to be good. And we're all tired of the teams losing and the amount they've lost over the last 5 years. So good luck to you in turning that around. And we look forward to talking to you more along the way.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. Have a great day.
You got it. Joe Schoen, the general manager of the New York Giants. All good, yeah? Anything you take out of that that's troublesome to you?
No, I mean, troublesome.
Well, I mean, the team's not going to be great this year. Everyone knows that.
I don't know what this team is, because the one thing that is true, and he said it, and he's not just propping up the team, is they got a lot of pieces on that defensive line.
Yeah.
Like, they may actually have a legitimate pass rush. They've got, and if Blake Martinez comes back, this defense, even without Bradberry, which is going to be a big blow, because he basically told you he's gone by the end of the week. That's what he said. We'll have it sorted out by the end of the week. Means he's gone by the end of the week.
Most likely.
Means we're cutting him by the end of the week because we couldn't trade the guy.